You haul yourself out of the pit toward freedom. Out through the toilet of the Vailian Company Headquarters. Gross. Hello and welcome to session 5 of my Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire Lorethrough. We are currently at the White Mare in the city of Neketaka. We just got to Neketaka last session. We haven't done too much here yet. We did speak to a shipwright who wanted us to find somebody in the White Mare. Before I get started today, I thought I would read a little bit about the Great Reef, which is a naturally occurring formation in the Deadfire Archipelago. So this is from the Pillars of Eternity 2 guidebook. It says, south of the Vailian colony, known as Port Mage, which is the first town that we went to, and stretching north of the Huana city of Neketaka lies the Great Reef, a dense accumulation of coral considered to be one of the oldest and largest naturally occurring structures in all of Aora. Kith have long suspected the presence and breadth of the reef from telltale signs in clear waters as the flourishing ecosystem of fish and wilder creatures that call the reef home. Its enormousness was not fully appreciated until Vailian pearl divers sought to plumb stretches of the ocean floor with the aid of diving bells. The seemingly endless expanse of growth under the sea floor inspired others to chart and better understand the reef's significance of the Deadfire region. In addition to the diverse species of coral and other plant life that compose the reef, uncounted species of creatures inhabit every rocky burrow and anemone strand. Cluttered on the seafloor and protected by the canopy of coral squirm millions of Azada snails, a fortune to the Deadfire locals who treat their glittering shells as a form of currency. We saw a cluster of these Azada snail shells in the incident at Snail Burrow, which I read in last session. Lost my place here. Reaching the valuable gastropods through the coral itself would be a little chore, but for the hundreds of species of predatory eels slinking among the waters, watching for distracted prey. Most of these eels grow no larger than a finger's length, but others have been known to span several yards, with a bite that can easily cut across a torso or consume an Orlan whole. Sea monsters do not traditionally frequent the shallow waters of the reef, but the diversity of strange and undiscovered life forms inhabiting the coral enclosure make the term monster a subjective one. Although their waters are frequently navigated and considered one of the safest crossings in the Deadfire, an unspoken truth among sailors is that the fortune-hunting merchants do not appropriately fear the reef, and that many of them will learn their lesson the hardest way. Starting to think that maybe I should have read that before I read the incident at Snail Burrow, because they were saying that there were people who thought that they didn't appreciate the reef for its danger, that there were people that didn't appreciate for its danger, and the incident at Snail Burrow was an example of that. They dove down to get some of these Azada snail shells as currency, and they met the king of the burrow, I think it was, which was a huge snail. One of them did not return. This is also the second mention of something called a diving bell. I should probably look that up. I feel like it's probably a historical thing. You know what? I am going to look that up. So yeah, my instincts were right. It is based on a real-world thing, a diving bell, which is kind of like an enclosed container that's open on the bottom. So I guess it's not enclosed. It's mostly enclosed, except it's open on the bottom so that a small number of divers can fit under the water. And when they lower it in, the water doesn't actually come up into the bell itself, so they're able to kind of use that as a base as they're underwater. So they can leave the bell, go, in this case, gather some snail shells, and then return to the bell and go back to breathing. So I don't know if it looks like the picture I saw, but I mean, probably doesn't look like the picture I saw, but it's the same kind of technology. It allows people to explore in the ocean depths when normally they wouldn't be able to. Okay, so let's continue here at the White Mare. I want to just read this. I think it was a task, the shipwright's plight. Yeah, we are looking for someone named Captain Redora, who was one of Zamar's clients and late on delivering a payment. Zamar asked me to track down Captain Redora at the Wild Mare in Queen's Berth and retrieve the coin she owes. If Redora can't pay her commission, Zamar will make it available for purchase. Adra knows my ship needs every advantage it can get, so we might get some kind of a discount or something if we do this for Zamar, the shipwright. Let's see who we got here. We have Gintel.
Hail and welcome to the Wild Mare, friend.
The jovial man at the bar grins and motions you closer. His arms are corded with thick muscle and cross-hatcheted with scars.
Now, what can I do for you?
Apparently you can get a prostitute here. I'm looking for more intimate entertainment. I'm just going to ask what he has for sale.
See anything you like? You let me know.
Got 2 rooms, a free room with no bonuses, and a $200 room, which is a private dance room. Okay. +1 cast with level 1 spells and +1 on all skills. Wow. Ooh, we have Wall's Wind here. I want to read that. Wall's Wind is an ingredient, a mixture of rum and any other strong spirit available and tropical juices. Wall's Wind is perennially popular drink during the brutally hot summer months in the Deadfire. Invented by the pirates of the Principe San Petrina, the beverage is traditionally served in the halved shell of a coconut. Wall's Wind earned its name from its legendary capacity for knocking imbibers flat on their backs and robbing them of their memories the night before. So this is a rum drink, which apparently people like to drink in enormous quantities, get drunk, and pass out and black out. Sounds like a fun night. Where I am, it was always, I think they were called mudslides. I don't know if that was a rum drink, though. But it sounds kind of like that. They just tasted way too good, but they had a lot of alcohol in them. Yes. Actually, there was some other drink, I think maybe that was there. We have Verchiora. This variation of a common herbal liqueur from the Vailian Republics has been infused with Luminous Adra. Ooh. The combination of yellow alcohol and powdered Adra results in a faintly glowing green concoction. Only the wealthiest of Vailian merchants boast of possessing more than a lone bottle of Kiora, and uncorking one after dinner is an unsubtle manner of displaying one's success to one's guest. That makes sense, much like Goldschlager here. So these are drinks that are definitely specific to Aora, but they seem to be inspired by things that you can actually find on Earth. Goldschlager has little flakes of gold in it, and this has some luminous Adra in it that is glowing, and it seems like there's no purpose of those things being there except to, be impressive. Alright, and then we have Sauso. An import from the Vailian Republics, this deep blue grain alcohol, flavored with anise and elderberry, is often enjoyed by muddied merchants alongside a cup of Merc Brew after meals. Merc Brew is like coffee, I believe. I think I read Mepu. Yeah. And then White Yennefer. Made with juniper berries common to the Eastern Reach, Yennefer is popular in White March and Raid Ceres. White March is... let's read this, actually. This is where the DLC took place, and there's a nice long description of the White March here. A series of fallen Pargrunan territories, Pargrunan are dwarven, territories that were settled by dwarves in the earliest colonial years of the Eastern Reach. The most prominent settlement, Durgan's Battery, was well known for its high-quality bronze art objects and unparalleled steel weapons, shields, and armor. Over several decades, the White March's various settlements were either overrun by myriad raiders or collapsed due to growing fears of instability. The stronghold of Durgan's Battery was apparently abandoned and sealed almost 2 centuries ago, marking the unofficial end of the White March. The arms of the White March can still be seen on fine pieces of bronze and steelware circulating the Eastern Reach. The symbolism of the mountains is obvious, but the linked circles at the top were common to many Pargrunan settlements, representing the common link of kinship between them. The yellow field, not often found on metalwork, indicated the bronzeware that the White March was initially famous for. We opened up Durgan's Battery at the end of the White March expansion of the first game. So this is not exactly accurate, although it was shut down for many centuries. They are now making new things with Durgan's battery. And we actually had some of those things. We made some of those things at the end of the expansion. It's also popular in Raed Saris, which is Deerwood's neighbor to the north. Raed Saris is a nation firmly rooted in Aethasian faith, a fervor that took hold during the events of the Saints' War and remains even after the apparent death of Aethys. We've run into several Aethasians, not Aethasians, well, we have run into Aethasians, but we have run into many Raed Sarans who are making the pilgrimage to Deadfire Archipelago because they believe, rightfully, that Aethys is the one who inhabited the Colossus, and they are trying to follow him. Anyway, more on white yennefer. Normally distilled in simple household pots with grain mash and various local herbs to meet the maker's preferences, few bottles are exported to the Deadfire. Many of the new blood Principi, especially those with roots in the Eastern Reach, covet the potent spirit as a delicacy. Okay. And I think we've read these. Okay.
I got it.
Do you enjoy coin, my friend? Can you lift a sword?
Here we have Luca.
My one solace from the tedious bureaucracy.
Ado, my friend. I knew our paths would cross eventually.
This is Aboko. A Vailian shouts over the din of the Wild Mare to get your attention, turning a great many heads to study your exchange. He takes a hearty swig of his tankard. So this response, where I wink at him, I'll bet you say that to all of your clients, makes me think that this is a prostitute. Do I know you?
Not yet, but I know that we will be fast friends. Tell me, you are the one who sails that fine ship, Ak? Terrorize the docks with spirits, Ak?
Leaning in close, he sips from the tankard and loudly sucks moisture from his upper lip. So when we got here, we ran into somebody, I forget their name, and we displayed our ability to call spirits from the in-between right in front of them and scared them. They ran away, and it appears that we have a name already in Neketaka because of our display there. Adra, Captain of the Defiant, at your service.
I am Aboko, and I am positioned to offer... I have opportunities for...
He clumsily unfolds a sheaf of parchment. The tankard slips in his grasp and spills ale down the front of his trousers. He gawks down at himself in horror.
1,000 times I practiced my speech. Merda. Never did it go this poorly.
Here, you need this more than I do. Give him an ale.
Agrasima. Do you know what my problem is, amico?
He accepts the tankard and drinks deeply.
I am supposed to be in the business of giving bounties, but I know no one who hunts them.
He stamps his feet, kicking up a spray of spilled ale. So this is not a prostitute. This is another giver of bounties. We met another one right outside the Wild Mare.
No one will unfurl their sail for my humble payments. But I must start from the bottom and work my way to the top, Ak?
You'll get there someday.
Agrasima, my friend. If you are ever lacking in drinking money, you know where to look.
You seem down on your luck.
It is true that I have stumbled in my career path.
Aboko clears his throat.
Having no hunters to my name, I am forced to doff my cap to common killers. It's not all bad, but the momentum of meeting new clients over drinks and in such enchanting company.
It drains
It drains the stamina, my friend.
Sorry about that. What bounties do you have available?
You will take the job? You will take the job.
He grips you by the shoulders and smiles, tears springing to the corner of his eyes.
Agrasima. Something special for my first hunter, then.
He drains the tankard and tucks it under his arm to retrieve his sheaf of notes.
I will start you on Mare Inn, the mad animancer. She tortures her victims with unspeakable treatments before casting what's left to Berth's will. My contact saw her leaving Port Mage and heading west of Mage Island.
Before I go, I had some questions.
Agrasima, you have but to ask.
Okay, nothing. So something I noticed here, there was an honest thing that said maybe this isn't your line of work. The honest options in this game seem to be more like, and I'm sure it's not all like this, but a lot of the honest options that we've had are more like a hard truth, like we're being honest, but a little mean at the same time. We're just saying the truth, even though they might not necessarily want to hear it.
Where in the blazes is that old man?
Got the rocket and the rum. Some dancer's outfit in here. Yep. She's definitely dressed like a dancer. Someone named Khan. A young woman lingers near the stage with a mug of ale clutched tight in her hands. Though she shows interest in the dancers, the bags beneath her eyes speak of many long nights spent drinking in the tavern. She looks lazily about the room until her gaze alights on you with interest.
Have you seen an old elf hanging around here lately? Dresses funny, probably drunker than an eel in a barrel of mead.
No, can't say I have.
Void, I thought as much.
She sighs heavily and pinches the bridge of her nose.
Listen, the guy I'm looking for owes me a lot of money. 5,000 coppers. You help me find him, and I'll give you 20%.
Was this a clever thing? 20%, but I'll be doing all the work.
Fine. Andra's great sagging tits. Fine. You can have 40% and rights to whatever baubles Oswald has on him.
Oh. Oswald, I think, is that guy who was held captive by the Steel Garrote in Oathbinder's Sanctum. And we were not able to save him. He's still there, but we weren't able to save him because the combat was too difficult. Who owes you money?
The drunk old goat I was pestering you about, Oswald. Like the credulous fool I am, I gave him a loan and he ran off before paying me back.
Khan looks at you expectantly. Deal.
Haggling for the fun of it, not keeping you busy enough?
She winks.
The man I'm looking for, Oswald, was especially fond of one of the courtesans upstairs, Analis. Maybe you can get more out of her than I can. She refuses to speak to me, the snippy little cur.
I'm gonna say this because she seems rather curt. Have you tried being nice?
She wasn't receptive to my particular charms. Let's see you do better. Maybe you can get more out of her than I can. She refuses to speak to me, the snippy little cur.
Got a few questions for you first.
What do you want to know?
Who are you?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that. But hey, what the hell?
She rakes an impatient hand through her dirty hair.
I'm one of the countless minor nobles that litter the Deerwooden countryside. You know Admeth Hadret, hero of the War of Defiance? He's my great whatever.
We read about Admeth Hadret in the first game. Hero of the War of Defiance. The War of Defiance is where the denizens of the Deerwood, the colonists there, gained their independence from the Adiran Empire. So, what's the problem with that?
When people find out, they start doing weird shit. Calling me lady, opening doors for me, buying me drinks. Really, the title is a mockery. It means nothing to me.
What's your history with Oswald? She groans theatrically, like she can't bear to recount the tale.
The man's a family friend. Has been for... must be 4 generations now. The perk of being an elf, eh?
In other words, they live a long time. What does Oswald owe you money for? She stares into the depths of her mug and sighs.
It's my fault, really. I should have known better than to believe that damned old drunk knew what he was doing. Man's a wizard. You understand, and a tinkerer. He convinced himself and me he could, with enough Luminous Adra, create a device that would add years to one's life. Must have been a crock of shit, because one day he up and ran without a word of explanation or apology. I thought I knew him better than that.
Very well. So we know where he is. I'm surprised I weren't able to... Oh no, because we didn't actually see him down there. A whole bunch of dancers coming up on here, huh? Alright, this is Captain Redora. This is the person who, Zamar wanted us to find.
You say I cannot down the rest? Watch me, amigo.
A Vailian sailor raises her tankard and arches her back to invite a torrent of ale down her expectant mouth. Holding this pose with nothing to show for it, she taps the tankard's base and furrows her brow at its apparent emptiness. Her companion shakes his head and focuses his attention elsewhere.
Madiko, it is no wonder I thirst.
As she wipes her mouth with the back of her hand, her eyes widen to meet yours.
Ado, why do you stare?
Your next grog is on me.
Grassima. Even in the oasis I am parched.
She pockets the coins and glances past you at the bar.
If you grant wishes, there is a vacancy on my ship.
Fedora's frown cracks to reveal a shy smile.
Yet another reminder that not every seaworthy vessel be crewed up to the standards of the sorcerer.
He shakes his head. As the captain of the Defiant, I'm already taken.
Sientere, frero.
Fedora inclines her head.
Next time around the wheel, perhaps.
You don't seem to be having as much fun as the rest of the clientele.
The fun ran dry with the coin.
She manages a wan smile.
When the dancers see more than an empty purse, I will be a content Radora.
She sighs up at the stage. So she's got a crush on a dancer, I guess? Or maybe all of the dancers. Zamar sent me to collect your debt.
Merla, and he hired muscle.
Fedora takes a shaky step back.
Sientere, but you are too late to collect.
She holds out her palms and flinches at the blow that doesn't come.
A gang in the northern alley stole every coin. I cannot hire a crew, much less repay Zamar.
So this is because I am streetwise, I'll say this. Zamar's having some pirate trouble. Could this gang be connected? Let me see. Yeah, so I myself am not streetwise, but because of my party, I am able to say this.
If they wanted Zamar to thirst for coin, it is possible. Botzos will regret it when I turn my cannons to their mast.
Fedora raises her empty mug as the bow is struck.
Those the cannons you be waiting for Zamar to cast you? Because I'd be seeing more holes in that plan than in any Principe mast's future or no.
His green eyes pry at her from over crossed arms. Why don't you tell me what happened?
Wizard lights drew me like a moth to the alley north of the Wild Mare.
Her eyes turn downcast.
The blow to the back of the head that followed, Merlight hurt.
She touches the spot behind her ear and hisses.
Then a wolf sat on my chest while a group of thugs went through my pockets.
A wolf?
It growled like a thunderstorm and drooled on my uniform.
Fedora pats a stain on her shoulder.
I stumbled back here and traded all I had left for the comforts of the mare.
Sounds like my quarrel is with this gang. Farewell.
When you got their leader, tell them Radora sent you.
She raises her mug and winks. Okay, so let's see what it says here. Cut purses ambushed Captain Fedora and stole Zamar's coin. The thugs got the drop on her in the northern alleys of Queen's Berth. The leader of this pirate gang travels with a pet wolf. All this stuff is stealing. Let's head upstairs. Emer. So that must be a dancer. Oh, and we're looking for, forget the dancer's name. Indeed. Up here. Herforts. A questionable street food served to the adventurous or starving. It started life as some sort of mushroom and is probably completely safe to eat. Probably. So I wonder if Herforts is always the same thing or if it's just kind of a term for somebody who threw something together. That includes mushrooms.
See something you like?
Yeah, this is a dancer. The dancer turns to greet you, a coy smile tugging at his lips. He's short for an elf, but no less grateful for his lacking height. His long face and dark eyes lent him a solemn air, but any hint of gloom is chased away by the wash of color in his cheeks.
Aloth, this is the last place I expected to see you. Have your interests changed so much since our time at Bragon Hill?
Oh, he knows Aloth. A grin lights up Ymir's face. He fidgets with his hair self-consciously, smoothing it down where it's been mussed.
No, I still enjoy tile puzzles and deflecting personal questions. Anyway, what are you doing here?
He looks away as though he's trying to ignore Ymir's eager gaze.
I could ask the same of you.
He laughs lightly, a hand over his mouth.
I make my own hours, meet fascinating people, and the coin's nothing to sneer at. Better than stuffy old books and unflattering robes.
He casts a critical eye over Aloth's outfit. He opens his mouth to speak, but decides better of it. This is amazing. Yes, it is, Bjarter.
It's good to see you again, Aloth. Anyway, I should get back to it. Be well.
He smiles warmly at Aloth, blush coloring the tips of his ears. Seems like they all enjoyed this. Adra gives a nod and a wink. Seraphim snickers quietly, and Shodi's eyes gleam with dark amusement.
It was lovely seeing you.
He catches himself, looking panicked.
Perhaps lovely is too strong a word. I meant pleasant. Perfectly agreeable.
He looks at you, chagrined.
I can see where I may have confused the poor fellow in our academy days. 'Twas a right fierce labour getting the lad to finger any flesh that weren't covering his spelly books.
Isilmer growls. I don't know if you've read this for Isilmer yet. A past iteration of Aloth Corficer's soul, Isilmer was brash, hill-speaking elven woman who lived in Adra long ago. She awakened in Aloth's soul after his father attacked him, and frequently got him into trouble with her cheeky comments and aggressive behavior. So the term awakened is a term that means like when a past soul, when the current body is made aware of a past soul. And this one is particularly strong on Isilmer. Every once in a while just shows up and says something like this here.
Did you enjoy the show? There's more to see, if you're interested.
Tell me about yourself.
I suppose.
He looks at you with a newly critical eye.
I was raised in the Adra Empire. When I was young, I studied to be an arcane knight. After an incident at my school, I left the continent and wandered until I found myself in Neketaka. As you can see, I stayed.
What kind of incident?
A handful of my fellow students got up to a bit of mischief that ended with several people dead.
His gaze lingers on the floor, the cushions, the tables, anywhere but your face. After a moment, he shrugs, offering no further explanation.
Did you enjoy the show? There's more to see, if you're interested.
Never mind.
Till later, then.
Okay.
You might.
Oh, I've got something hiding behind the cushion covers over here. Got some erotic art on the wall here.
It's interesting.
Let's see, we have the Beloved Land, Poems for Arglonfoth, and Nasatak Poetry, a compilation. So these are just poetry books. We'll grab these. And the Scroll of Twin Stones. I won't read those right now, but I'll grab them so we can read them later. And here we have a Huana Charm Belt, plus 15% Stride. Stride represents how quickly a character can run in combat, with higher scores covering more ground. And then Survival. Apart from holding up one's trousers, belts are much favored by enchanters, for the material portion is easily crafted, typically light in weight, and require fewer adjustments to the pieces of armor, which contribute in more direct ways to protection. So that's just a generic belt description. But let's give this belt to... Let's give it to Bjarter. I don't think we're really spending time on his survival, though. No. Maybe Adra's got a survival of 8, so maybe I'll give him that belt, actually. This is... Oh, she's leaving. This is Analysis, who we need to speak to about Oswald.
Meet me in my room if you'd like to hear a verse or two.
So I have to wait for her to be done dancing, I guess. Rabuna. It's another... Well, this looks like a godlike dancer here. A fire godlike woman polishes a pair of stocks, tending to them with the fondness of a mother for her favorite child. The room is dim, illuminated only by the glow of her steel-forged skin. Her eyes burn with the light of Mogren's fire. So this is a Mogren godlike. You can see the fire here, since Mogren is the goddess of fire. When she hears you enter, she shoots a look of utter contempt.
I will give you an experience you won't soon forget.
She says that after she looks at us with utter contempt. Tell me about yourself.
I must assume the question beneath your question is how a fire godlike came to find herself in a place such as this.
She leans back against a wall of chains. They clank and rattle, and she smiles at the sound.
Perseverance. Being as I am, I have been forced to find it for myself. Now I teach it to others.
To live
in a world as a thinking, feeling creature, it is difficult. It demands strength.
I don't know why I keep reading these things before they say them. I apologize.
But we cannot always be strong. I help those who have lost their strength to find it again.
She wraps a chain around her arm and tugs. The steel links glow red with forge fire where they touch her skin. Never mind.
Happily.
This is Constantin. We have some Adra clothing. A burly dwarven man hums jaunty tune to himself as he fastidiously organizes his collection of scented oils. When he hears you enter the room, he greets you with a smile and a humongous outstretched hand. His grip is strong and sure.
Come to seek ablutions for your sins?
He slaps his knee with a bark of laughter.
Get it? Ablutions? Absolution? Ha! I crack myself up. Gets me every time.
He wipes a tear from his eye, still chuckling.
Massage? Bath? Whatever you need. Just ask.
How'd you end up here?
Oh, you don't want to hear about that. I lived a boring life, so there wouldn't be much to the telling.
He crosses his thick arms over his chest. A slight blush spreads across his cheeks. Indulge me.
Truth be told, my real passion is pottery. Trouble is, I got these big hands. Not meant for delicate work.
He turns his hands palm up for you to inspect. Just one is easily large enough to cover your entire face.
Worked out in the end, of course. Now I specialize in relieving tension in the Mare and death godlike.
Huh. Because of my perception, I can say you seem bored here.
I guess I can't hide my feelings as well as I thought I could.
He gives you a nervous chuckle and scratches his beard.
The stability's good and all, but I haven't seen anything that gets my blood pumping in ages. You know what I mean?
What's life without a little excitement?
Doing the same old thing day in, day out. It's enough to make a man leap from the nearest window.
He nods vigorously. You could come with me.
Where to?
He raises an inquisitive brow, his large hands previously dancing with restless energy, still. You know that 700-foot-tall statue made of Adra? I'm going after it.
No kidding.
He nearly drops a bottle of massage oil in his excitement.
I like to see something like that for myself.
He sighs, a wistful edge in his voice.
Do you think I could come with you? Just for a bit.
So I can recruit him here? Grab your things then and let's go.
Hell, you don't have to tell me twice.
So we have a chanter. Oh, and we have this tutorial for sidekicks. Oh, man. I do want to read that because this is not a the same as our other companions. Sidekicks start out as unique NPCs integral to a specific quest, complete with their own personalities and looks, and they may offer to join your party as a reward for completing their quest. Just like companions, these new characters have a custom portrait and voice sound set. However, unlike companions, they do not have their own vision quest and will not participate in the companion relationship system. So they are people who you can recruit to fight with you, but they don't have nearly as much personality as the people that are traveling with us right now as the normal companions. All right, Analysis. Yeah, there you go. A young woman reclines on the cushions, a hookah whose hose held delicately in one hand. Eyes closed, she sings to herself. Her voice is soft and inviting. She doesn't move when she hears your approach, but slowly opens her eyes with a lazy smile.
Come, lay your head on my breast. I will read to you the work of my favorite poet, Skilber.
Khan's looking for someone named Oswald. Sound familiar?
I'm sure I don't know who you're talking about. Now please leave.
She gestures toward her door and makes a shooing motion. So using my insight, I can say it's clear you care a bit for him. Let me help. She chews on a knuckle, brow furrowed, deciding whether she should trust you. Then she sighs heavily and gives you a sheepish smile.
Oswald has visited oft of late. He's a sentimental old man, and he longs for the words of our homeland, Adir. I would often read the old epics to him in their original Eldadiran.
Her eyes gain a distant, unfocused look, and a wistful smile spreads across her face.
He's grown paranoid recently, however, always muttering about the shadows following him and other such nonsense. It was quite unnerving, frankly.
And we know that it wasn't just paranoia. He has been captured by the Steel Garrote.
He came to me in a panic a few days ago and shoved his journal into my hands. He told me he'd be back for it, but I've not seen hide nor hair of him since. I wonder, perhaps his journal would help you find him. Here, take this key. You'll find the journal in my armoire.
This slim little key, we got Analys's key. The slim little key opens Analys's wardrobe on the top floor of the Wild Mare in Queen's Berth. It smells faintly of neroli perfume and white leaf smoke.
Indeed.
So this is Oswald's journal. Godendag. That must be a day. Yeah. This afternoon I walked the streets of Neketaka and felt an unusual spring in my step. I cannot be sure if it's the fine weather of the archipelago or my great distance from the Deerwood and the blasted Goose and Fox Inn that has gifted me this buoyancy of spirit, but I'm grateful nonetheless. We visited the Goose and Fox in Defiance Bay. I have seen no sign of the girl, highly be praised. God's willing, I have slipped her net at last. I think they're talking about Khan there. May Queen's dog. The shadows are strange here, seeming to move of their own accord. As I passed from Queen's Berth to Pariki's Overlook this morning, I could have sworn I saw one turn to face me, then another. I fled the area as quickly as I could, and as far as I could tell, I was not followed. I have many enemies, as any man of a roguish adventurous mien should, although none have caused to search for me here. I know these shadows must be but a trick of the mind, but still I am uneasy. The next entry is written in shaky, wild hand, clearly penned in great haste. Ritlinsdog. As I put me down to bed this evening, I heard a faint whispering beneath my window. I always leave it open to better catch the breeze, and thanks be to Hylia for it, or I might have been none the wiser. However, when I went to investigate, no one was there, and yet I know I heard voices. I may be old, perhaps even paranoid, but I am not crazy. I must leave this place with all haste. Gods protect me in my flight. On the next and final page of the journal is the symbol of Woodica, a broken crown, scrawled in deep red ink. What is this? Oh, that's the Critter Cleaver note. Let's see what she says.
Have you come to hear some verse?
Let's ask what her problem with Khan is.
Oh, her. Yes, she is persistent, isn't she? She barged in and began asking me all sorts of inappropriate questions about my customers. She grew incensed when I asked her to leave. She's no longer welcome in my room.
Analys wrings her hands and looks away. Her gaze settles on their armoire in the corner.
I do hope she's not a friend of yours. Her manners are atrocious. Farewell.
So reading that journal didn't tell us anything. At least not in our journal. I'm gonna save before we talk to Khan here.
Have you got any leads on that mad old goat yet?
I guess it's not that important because we know where Oswald is. But I wonder if that journal was supposed to like give us a hint as to where we were supposed to go next for this quest. Didn't actually do anything in our journal though.
Shh. Keep your voices down, my cullies.
Looks like this kid's up to something. But hang on a sec, there's a district home here. I think we can go into.
Whether I open.
So this is trapped.
I'll try my best. Well, if you insist, it's no trouble. Of course.
I could steal some things, but I'm not going to do that. Some copper leaf and lockpicks. Let's see what this commoner kid is doing.
You want something?
Nothing. Or at least he's not going to tell us. Coral snuff. Cave coral.
The Queen is holding court today with the Vailians and Rowattians.
How long before they're killing each other?
Wager on it?
This is a Luminous Adra mill. So I wonder if the mill means they're grinding it up here. This is Cortina.
Happily.
Daily arrivals and deliveries of crude and refined luminous Adra are carefully logged here. Cortina's voice finds you before she does. Her barks of laughter and cheerful directives resounding throughout the mill. She flits from worker to worker, offering critique and approval. When she finally spots you, a shadow of apprehension passes over her face. She hides it with a toothy grin.
If you are here about the taxes, tell the Queen... Oh, you are not the tax collector.
She narrows her eyes, her hand twitching at the hilt of her blade. She's going to attack the tax collector. That's probably not very smart.
What business brings you to my mill?
Who are you?
Okay.
Cortina leans in close, one prodigiously furry eyebrow raised.
You go around asking just anyone in Queen's Berth personal questions. Maybe you end up dead in a ditch. Have caution, eh? Lucky for you, I am a woman of honor.
She gives you a sunny smile and claps her hands together.
I direct Luminous milling for the Vailian Trading Company. It's a nice job, huh? And I'm quite good at it. You want to know more? Buy me a drink first, Perguano.
Perguano means for the good, a Vailian phrase. Cortina claps you on the shoulder, a playful smile on her lips. What do you do here? Cortina looks about the room with exaggerated wonder, her green eyes wide. She laughs a little to herself and runs a finger across the arm of the chair beside her. She holds the finger up for your inspection. It's caked in shimmering blue dust.
We mill Luminous, of course.
So I guess they just call it Luminous.
Take big chunks, break into smaller chunks, crush into dust-sized chunks. Per complancanet, it is really not so complicated.
She gives you a condescending little pat on the arm. Farewell.
Good day.
So we can see the Luminous Adra here. So yeah, we can see it in several stages. These are kind of small chunks of it right here, which they then, seems like that's what these are for. These wheels grind it into a dust. And we see even then it's glowing, which is why it's able to be in that drink. This is a crate of crude luminous Adra. Chunks of Adra glow with faint light inside this crate, and this is a quest item. So I wonder at some point if we are going to be asked to steal the luminous Adra here. And this is luminous Adra dust, a trace amount of luminous Adra. Yep, mostly just a bunch of luminous Adra here. These crude shards of luminous Adra retain their unearthly glow. Let's head up to the rooftop balcony. So yeah, there's a kind of waterfall here, which powers this water wheel, which we see spinning in the background, which I'm going to guess is what is powering the mill in the Luminous Adra mill. And here we have a wet dog named Abraham. Abraham reduces the recovery penalty for armor. Varies by armor type. Alright, let's keep exploring. Head to Sanza's map Emporium.
Of course.
It says Sanza's map Emporium, and we see kind of compass up here, but a compass that draws circles, and then some symbol underneath it with like a globe and... It's a trapped chest, huh?
Whether I open.
And we have a hidden compartment here. Stealing, though.
Oh, hello. Welcome to my shop. It's such a pleasure to see a new face.
Sanza bounces back on his heels, a wide grin plastered on his worn face.
How might I assist you?
What do you do here?
Oh, I am a cartographer. I make maps. I'm not half bad at it either. And may the gods forgive my immodesty for saying so. If you need a map of any settled region of the Deadfire, I am your man. And my commission rates are quite generous. It used to be I would take to the sea and do a bit of charting myself, but I haven't the time. Too many maps need making. A shame, too. There's a whole swath of the Deadfire I've yet to see. I'm quite keen to write a book, in fact. Oh, but I won't trouble you about that. Excuse my nattering on, won't you?
Nice dog. I was going to say that too.
You think so? He is a magnificent beast, isn't he?
Sansa's face splits into a broad grin, bright enough to light the room.
He's been a bit low lately. Between you and me, I think he's heartsick for the sea.
Do you sleep here?
Sometimes.
See the bed over here? He touches a hand to his forehead and blushes scarlet from his neck to the tips of his ears.
Married to the work, you know? I just get so engrossed in my maps. And next I know, it's morning. Sharing a bed with a few maps is a good sight better than sharing with Caleb, I'll tell you that.
Is Caleb the dog? Caleb?
He always hogs the blankets.
He rubs the back of his neck. You said you're writing a book.
I'm putting together an explorer's account of the Deadfire. Or at least the part of it Queen Onekaza's tribe has laid claim to. My book will be the first of its kind. The Explorers Club will go mad for it. Or, well, that was the idea. It's a fiercely dangerous enterprise, in point of fact, and nobody will agree to chart the islands for me. You'd think ship captains would be a bold-hearted bunch. I offered fair recompense.
Sansa folds his arms, sighing.
I'm not exactly the most powerful fighter, or I do it all myself. Still, Wouldn't it be wonderful? An explorer's guide to the Deadfire. Someday.
I've got a bold heart and a ship. Need a hand?
Do you mean it? This is... Wow! I can't thank you enough. It's a lot of ground, I mean water to cover, and some of these islands are in very dangerous waters.
Despite his words, his gleeful expression on Sanza's face has not faded.
Don't worry, I planned it all out. We'll get your feet wet first. With a little experience under your belt, I'm sure you'll get a taste for it. Nothing will stop us. I mean, you. The idea is to explore all the islands that haven't been charted yet, or even named. That falls to you, amico. You can't tell me you've never wanted to name your own island. I thought we could start with the waters around the company outpost at Port Mage. There are 2 islands in the region, and nobody's taken much notice of them yet. Once you're back, I'll start filling in my map and adding your findings to the book. Oh, this will be wonderful.
I wonder if one of the...
You told me a few years ago that I'd end up following you on another crazy errand. I'd have said you were out of your mind.
He gives you a dismissive gesture with his pipe hand.
Not because I got anything against you, more that trouble seems to come looking for you wherever you go. Yet, here we are again, probably on our way to die. Well, you already did, but me, I mean.
I couldn't go having all the fun by myself.
Well, real nice of you to share. Someday I'll have to get you a gift. And wouldn't you know it, this time is shaping up to be crazier than the last one.
There's something accusatory behind Adair's eyes.
But I gotta say, I appreciate how you've handled things. Times like these, staying decent's not as easy as it sounds. Thought you were weird at first, of course, but you've surprised me.
It hasn't always been easy.
Well, that's why I mentioned it. Sometimes it's been anything but. I've been meaning to ask, though. How is it you never seem to lose your way through all this? What is it tells you you're on the right path?
Okay. I am going to say I believe in helping people who need it. Sometimes it's more complicated, but often it's not.
Well, hard to argue with that. And I might get some strange looks if it did.
Adair heaves a sigh that sounds as if it's been building up for months. His smile is tight-lipped, wistful.
When I was a boy, things were simpler. Aethys was more like a character we read about in church.
Easier to worship a god when their worst traits are swept under the rug.
Yeah, I guess it was. Well, most stories had him helping folks or making the world work as it should.
He adopts the smile and gently pointed finger of a coaxing parent.
You pray to him. He might help you too.
He lets the finger drop and the smile fade.
There was no cost to it. No confusion about his will or followers taken into extremes. Following Aethys was right. Had no reason to question.
He pauses. It could be the light, but the creases around his eyes and mouth seem longer and deeper than your memory of them. Just as a reminder here, Adair grew up as an Aethys worshipper. He seemed to be a little disillusioned by Aethys after the Saints' War. He lost a brother in the Saints' War. And then after he found out that the gods were created by the Ingwithans in the first game, that almost like renewed his faith, and that's why he was fighting, well, not fighting, that's why he joined the Night Market, which were like secret Aethasian worshippers in the Deerwood, because Aethys worship was outlawed in the Deerwood.
Do you think there's any way that following him could still be the right path? After all we've seen?
I honestly don't know.
I guess we'll see what he has in store soon enough. If we make it that far. Anyway, I didn't mean for this to get depressing. I think this was just a long way of saying I appreciate the way you've guided things.
Thanks, Adair.
Makes me feel like I'm doing some good, going with you.
He shakes his head with a look on his face, like he just remembered a joke. I wonder if that's just like a scripted thing after we like take a certain amount of quests on or something. Alright, we got a lot of things to look at here. These maps of the Deadfire Archipelago are incomplete, pocked with gaps denoting unexplored regions. Scrawled notes track commissions and work orders in progress. Tattered and worn, this map depicts a small region of the Living Lands, again where Feud is going to take place. Even these scrolls have been painstakingly dusted. Among the usual cartographical tomes and manuals are few weathered volumes of travel memoirs and fanciful adventures. And this is Caleb the dog. Can I pet him? Nope. Alright, we have Deadfire lines. Okay. I'm not going to read all this. We haven't heard any of this yet, but these are lyrics to a sailor shanty. And this is one of my favorite things about this game, are the shanties that our crew will often sing. I think their morale has to be good in order to start singing, which is why we haven't heard it yet. We just started. But once their morale gets good, they'll start singing, and I absolutely love the songs that they sing. Then we have Glenfathan Customs and Animancy in the Modern Age. We read both of those in the first game.
Indeed.
And then here we have True Stories from the Living Lands and The Queen That Was and Still Is. That would be a Woodican book. And I looked at that one already.
Where is my postinago of a brother?
This is
Have you seen Laro Bardatto?
Nero Bardatto. And Bardatto is... Yep, it's this estate up here. So it must be a rich family if they have an estate.
Madico, where is that spoiled brat?
A woman in fine clothes clutches a ledger in both hands. She searches the faces of passers-by, settling on yours with an uncertain frown. Are you all right?
I'm trying to be the responsible one in the family, and it's a heavy burden. Laro is past due for a company meeting. Mother wants me to drag the elusive louse back by his ear.
She tucks the book under her arm.
Must be nice to be a layabout. Uncle Angbert would have tanned my hide.
Adra seems pleased.
Fuck. I am angry and jealous in equal measure. You'd think this district was a maze, the way he manages to hide.
She glances over your shoulder and sighs, then looks back at you with sudden recognition.
The spirit magnet? Sientere, that I did not recognize you.
Oh, they're calling me the spirit magnet. I like that.
If you desire to get in the graces of the Vailian Trading Company, we can help each other.
What sort of clout do you have with the Vailian Trading Company?
Mother's bank commands the wealth of the Deadfire campaign.
Nara absently pats the cover of her ledger.
Could I persuade you to watch out for Laro? I'd pay generously for your trouble.
What's this one here? With my insight, I can study her hands. Nara's been digging her nails into her ledger, leaving crescent moon-shaped impressions in the binding. She notices your interest and holds the book protectively close.
I'm concerned because Laro tends to feud with Orso, one of the local Valera rats.
Valera is the other estate that's in this area. You aren't exactly tearing the district apart looking for him.
Because, see, I only manage the family business.
She takes up her ledger with both hands, holding it like a shield.
Better to ask why Laro isn't sprinting back to look after his birthright.
What do you mean by Valera rat?
The Valeras, a brood of sea vermin playing at nobility.
She hefts her ledger, as if to bring it down on a pest.
We squabble and compete, but Laro, the postinago, takes it too far.
I'll take it your mother is someone important.
It's Ali Bardatto. The Vailian Trading Company leans on her to finance their mission. If only more of her offspring were as accomplished.
Nara raises her free hand and squeezes the bridge of her nose. If I happen across Lara, I'll let you know.
Would you? I'll be waiting at the estate in case he happens to return.
Nara thumbs over her shoulder.
Laro and his miscreant friends carouse at the tavern, the falls above the Adra mill, and the southwestern bridge.
Okay, tavern, falls above the Adra mill, and the southwestern bridge. Okay.
If you see him, tell Laro to get his good-for-nothing ass back home.
Well, we do have this thing with chasing a rogue god to the ends of Aora, but I guess if it's on the way. Hey, I wanted to ask you something. It's about Shodi.
There wants to speak again. What did you want to ask?
She means well. I can see that. And she's spirited, and if I was still young and didn't know the things I know, it'd be different. But anybody got that much faith in any god, let alone Aethys? I don't know how to talk to someone like that. Not these days. I get why she's like that. And I was there once, a long time back.
His eyelids flare with relived embarrassment.
But it's 'cause of that I can't see a way to respect it. I'm no good at hiding it from her either. I don't see this getting better.
There's more to her than you're giving her credit for.
Doesn't seem like she's any different than what she shows.
She's a Dawnstar, but she doesn't worship Aethys. She worships Gone.
Same thing, really. That's just her trying to find a way to worship Aethys that makes sense to her.
Same as he's doing, though.
I guess that sounds familiar now that you mention
it. And he recognizes it, too. All right. We've talked to Ivor the Bright. Should we go in here? What happens? So apparently there's some kind of feud between the Bardattos and the Valeras. And we have a paupers here. Person we're looking for had a wolf for a companion. Go on, you. I don't get paid enough to chat. Okay. A scribe here?
We're full up, I'm afraid. If you're looking for lodging, you'll have to hope there's room at the tavern.
This family scribe offers you a pleasant smile, but seems preoccupied by other matters. You rent rooms.
We do indeed. Forgive me if I mistook you for a tenant. There are quarters set aside upstairs. Passers-by with a bit of extra coin will find a welcome cot and a meal. This is a temporary measure, of course.
Why rent rooms at all? Much less for short-term stays.
It's not my place to share the dealings of the Valera family, but this is all rather public.
She frowns and glances around the house self-consciously.
Suffice it to say that a family in want of coin might find alternate means of securing their finances. In the case of this estate, that means renting the occasional room. No shame in making a practical sacrifice.
So the Valera estate is on hard times, I guess.
But I've said enough. Speak with Otello if you have business with the Valera household.
She beckons you on in an anxious, urgent manner. Who's in charge here?
You'll find Otello Valera upstairs in his study.
How's business?
Well, as they say, business can always be better, yes? I'm sure I needn't bore you with the details.
The scribe bites her lower lip and diverts her gaze. Farewell. Oh, so we have on the provenance and ruination of Neketaka's old city. Old city is in quotes. Okay. Except from a lecture given before the annual convention of the Academy of the Architectural Historians in Adir. Close examination by learned parties suggests that Neketaka is significantly older than it might first appear. We take as our example the suppurating wound in the city's side, which the locals most charmingly refer to as the gullet. On its face, it is not considerably different from your average slum. Indeed, it contains all that one might expect of such a place: desperate poverty, wrenching hunger, a tavern fare bringing with miscreants, and a flourishing criminal culture. Of course, it has its own unique offering as well, a towering pile of garbage dumped into the district from the more affluent neighborhoods above it. It is, in every sense, abominable. The Huana leadership should not be ashamed. Should be ashamed. I'm sorry. The Huana leadership should be ashamed. But I digress. Far more interesting than the caste stratifications among the Huana are the bones their city is built upon. For beneath the gullet lies a vast cavern littered with remains of an ancient city. Referred to simply as the Old City by the denizens of Neketaka, this sunken metropolis is notable for two reasons. The Old City's architecture is markedly different in style, form, and apparent use from the architecture of modern Neketaka, and there's no readily available explanation for the Old City's destruction that has not already been considered and discounted by those inclined to study it. My peers here in the Academy and beyond believe that the old city's destruction is clearly the fault of the region's energetic volcanism and subsequent tectonic rumblings. I would caution against grasping at such easy solutions, however. Consider the following. The Huana have lived in the region for thousands of years. Earthquakes are no more a surprise to them than are the archipelago's daily soaking rains. None in Aora match their sheer creativity and expertise in building to withstand these events. Moreover, for all their flexibility in building construction, the Huana's tastes have proven to be remarkably stable over time, showing a clear preference for the designs that mimic the rhythm and shapes of the natural world. The old city shows none of these things. Indeed, what remains are constructed primarily of stone cut in austere blocks, and the buildings are arranged in a manner not dissimilar from those prevalent in the Ingwithan ruins that dot the landscape. With those 2 points in mind, does it not seem prudent to ask whether the old city is Huana in origin, and if it is not, who built it? And finally, what destroyed it? That is actually a place that we will be able to explore at some point, this old city. Same thing with the Gullet, which here it says colloquially called the Gullet. The slums of Neketaka are home to both the Reparo caste of the city's Huana, as well as a myriad colorful and unsavory figures. Built in a great chasm at the heart of Neketaka, it is where much of the city's refuse, literal or figurative, comes to rest. So this here, the Gullet, has so much garbage in it because basically the garbage that the upper castes throw out just kind of trickle their way down. And I have to wonder if this is a comment on trickle-down economics. Reagan was famous for that in America, which is why these days the rich are not taxed as much as they once were. And once you make a certain amount of money, then you are not taxed on that money anymore. The outward thinking there was that the more money the people on top have, the more of that money will trickle down to the poorer people, to the ones in lower classes. And obviously that's not what happened. Now we have a huge wealth disparity, and there is like the top 1% of wealth havers are basically have 50% of the wealth in America or something like that, which is not 100% due to what Reagan did with his trickle-down economics, but definitely played a part in that. And other things have just kind of snowballed since then. And I have to wonder if this opposite kind of trickle-down is a comment on that, where the actual refuge is trickling down into the Gullet and just like taking up so much space in Neketaka's Gullet. All right, and we got some currency here. I'll take both of those.
Just a moment. There you go.
So I can unlock it, but I can't take anything. Here we have the White that Wends. Should I read this? No, I'm just going to take it, actually.
Keep your weather eye open.
Got a secret place here. Got some scrolls. I got the White that Wins. Already got that book, but I will take these palm slats. Because palms do not form annual rings, these thin slats of lusterless wood are free from knots and similar defects. Due to the rarity of paper in the Deadfire, natives of the region prefer a palm slat for writing surface. Such slats may be bound with thread to create easily stored volumes of writing. Already have the White that Wins.
I'll try my best. Hope that helps.
The ticking of the clock fills the dining room in quieter moments. The gilded frame is flanking. Oh, this is the other entrance. Over here.
Just a moment. It's no trouble.
We can steal some solution or a cinder bomb. I'm not going to steal. Though they vary widely in style, you note a nautical bent to most of the paintings. These pots appear to have been made locally. Got Berth's Bell. An ingredient, this flowering plant has drooping flowers of somber blue and gold shade. Both the sweet-smelling leaves and berries of the plant are known to be extremely poisonous, toxic to grazing animals and to people alike. Named because they look like bells, and Berth obviously employs a bell. We have one attached to us at the time. Got some lager and oil. Ratiti root. I don't think I've read that. Transplanted by dear wooden settlers long ago, this blooming plant now grows wild on most islands of the Deadfire. The roots are commonly used to create taruturuchu. And antidote. Someone's asleep here. Got some peridot. Is it peridot or peridot? Very lavish bed here. This must be where the leader is. This is stealing. Okay, so that is what it is. I think I may have thought this before. But it says stealing here, but these are not highlighted red. And I'm going to guess because we won't get caught if we take them right now. If they're red, that means someone's looking at us and they'll know we take it. If they are not red, then we're just going to steal it and we'll be able to get away with it. I'm still not going to do it, though.
Yourself a look at that,
Well,
mate.
if you insist. Hope that helps. Indeed.
Got some coin, got some jade, and got some potion of deftness. This vanity seems seldom used apart from the wash basin. A fine layer of dust has settled on the surrounding tins and jars. Some clothes. This is Martino and Otello Valera. Otello, I believe, is the leader of the house.
Ah, a new face in the Valera halls.
Otello Valera's face is lined and weary, but his coat is tidily buttoned, his posture faultless. Bjarter, at your service. I don't want to say at your service. I will say that.
Courtly manners are welcome here.
He inclines his head.
My time is not inexhaustible, but I am willing to spare it.
He opens his palms and invites you to continue.
What can I do for you?
What does your family do for the Vailian Trading Company?
Valera ships escort goods and merchants from island to island across Deadfire. The Principe dogs show us their stern whenever they spot Valera colors on the horizon.
Principe is the pirates.
Leave it to a swabby from the Republics to think a pirate showing them their rear be a compliment.
The Orland chuckles at his own joke. Martino.
I am coming. Well, my back.
Got books Theater Empire Part 2, Expanding Borders, and Missives of the Hand Occult. I feel like there was those are books that we've read. This just costs a lockpick.
There you go.
From the other one. From the first game. And I would be stealing with them if I took them now, so... But I don't want to read Part 2 before I read Part 1. This is the Valera Captain's Report. I do not write on behalf of the other captains of your illustrious fleet, but I hope that you understand my voice is still theirs. Oh, this is addressed to Otello. Even if they are too proud to air a grievance, you and I have known each other too long to hide our thoughts from one another. I know that money is tight and that you cannot spend what you do not have, but the Royal Deadfire incursion and the boldness of the Principe have not made the waters between the Republics and Deadfire any calmer. Our ships are battered and bruised, nearly unrecognizable as they are patched with flotsam of our defeated foes. We make do with what little we have, but this is an exhausting and hopeless way of life. Send us the coin to make formal repairs, or else we will abandon ship, and the next vessel I captain will not bear our family's sigil. Please, brother. Captain Bardattos. And this is the Midwife's Memoirs. That is a Hylian book. Here, Otello Valera has carefully etched his signature into the glass housing of this model. So it seems like the Valeras have kind of come on hard times. People are asking them for money. They don't really have the means to support the people that they have out on the sea. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna wait for that book. Hopefully I remember it's here if we ever find part 1 and we can't find part 2. Let's head back down. Up to the Bardattos estate.
I'd be letting the lass out to play more.
It isn't you, and I didn't ask.
Talking about
Make a
Izamir.
right nice excuse to be exploring your... well, everything,
You do realize you're not the first ill-mannered Orlin to suggest that?
Aloth always gets crap because of Izamir living inside of him. The Bardatto vault is below. Here's Nira Bardatto. Was she the one that gave us the quest?
Laro doesn't
Yes.
bring ridicule to the Bardatto name.
The instrument appears to enjoy frequent use. It is impeccably tuned. Just have a pistol in here. These decorative plates are all stamped with the Bardatto seal, not steel. These dour portraits seem to observe your movement up and down the corridor. This is not stealing. The Light of Dawn, a Red Saren morality play. Part 1, Charity and Generosity. Wait until we find part 2, we can read them both together. This is Animancy in the Modern Age. Maybe I'll do an episode where we read some books next time.
Well, if you it's no trouble.
This is stealing. There's a lot of money in here and a scroll.
Ah, yes. The newcomer. I thought you might visit.
The Bardatto priest.
Just a moment, please. There you go.
Oop, just leveled up with picking that lock. Nice. So there's only 2 of them, so let's do these now so we can kind of break it up. First is Adra. So for Adra, I moved his athletics up to 7 and his survival to 9. And I got fighter stances. I don't think we can actually choose these stances until next level. But the fighter trains in the ability to adopt specialized fighting stances. Each stance excels at handling a different aspect of combat. Defender stance is apt for holding fast against groups of enemies. Cleaving stance is effective when attacking several enemies at once. And warrior stance is best for standing toe-to-toe against a single enemy. So we'll be able to choose which stance we want once we actually pick some of those stances up. Next, Bjartur. With Bjartur, I upped his mechanics to 7 and his insight to 6. I gave him fractured volition, violates an enemy's memories to bring vivid recollections of past failures to the surface, leaving the target hobbled and weakened. Alright, let's talk to Izali.
Lady Izali Bardatto. Custom dictates, I say, at your service. But I have not the time for such lies.
She doesn't have the time to say at your service, but she does have time to say, custom dictates I say at your service, but I have not the time for such lies. She regards you with a cool expression, but stands with a fighter's poise.
If you have business with House Bardatto, then speak on.
So I notice something unusual because of my religion and my insight. Your attention is drawn to Izali's desk. Among the assorted ledgers and documents sits a brass seal, still dripping with heated wax. The drippings have dried into an almost... Did I skip something there? No. The drippings have dried into an almost almond-shaped pattern which resembles the shape of an eye fringed with bird feathers. Suggesting Hylia? A nictitating membrane flicks across its surface in a barely perceptible wink. Is this in the seal?
Are you still with me?
Azali breaks your focus by waving her hand in front of your face. She glances between you and her tidy desk, frowning. Sorry, I lost focus for a moment.
Well, I will endeavor to hold your interest next time.
Your family seems very well established here.
My bank shoulders the costs of the Vailian Trading Company's operations in the Deadfire.
And they have their vault underneath here.
It is said that no Vailian may wipe themselves unless a Bardattos signature approves it first.
If that's true, we gotta stop shaking hands with them.
I'm certain you've touched worse, farmhand.
Azali's mouth twitches, just shy of a smirk. These rich families are always so pleasant. Let's see what happens if we go down into the vault. The guard captain takes his time moving to the barred door, his armor creaking with every step. He appraises you with a lazy sweep of the eyes while his fingers curl casually about the hilt of his blade.
You have an appointment to see the vault, sir?
A vault? What's in here?
The Bardattos are a banking family, Mestre. We hold a great many accounts belonging to our fellows within the Vailian Trading Company. We also safeguard those valuables they entrust to our keeping. A matter you may discuss with the lady. Upstairs.
The captain makes a hurting motion with his arms as he shepherds you towards the stairs. So can't go to the vault just yet.
I've noticed you seem to be frequently at odds with others in your order.
Some of my brethren don't understand why I gotta do what I do, but I'm not beholden to them.
I can certainly sympathize.
This is one of the places where the Bardatto kid might be, underneath the waterfall. Looks like. Head back to him, and there he is, Laro Bardatto. Against a backdrop of jeering youths, a young woman raises her arms with an air of practiced drama. Before her, two men stand across from each other, mirroring scowls.
You both attest that you have made all possible efforts to come to a peaceful...
The woman trails off as you approach, and you find yourself in the sudden target of the crowd's attention.
Who is this Nasenale? How many cousins do you have or so?
Laro chuckles. This is the guy we're looking for. Nasenale is a Vailian term for a nosy person.
Postenago. Does that look like any cousin of mine?
So this is Valeras and Bardattos in this place here.
How should I know? Your kin lie with eels.
So some kind of family feud. Orso glares at Laro and bites back whatever insult he had at the ready.
We have business. What do you want?
I don't want any trouble.
But you're a witness now. You can at least watch us bleed each other dry.
Psst. What's your words of? You want the Juana to know we're dueling?
My bad so to the tribals. We should be free to settle matters on Vailian terms.
Orso glances in your direction with annoyance.
Small wonder the old empire collapsed in civil strife if this is the Vailian way.
He sneers.
And how do your colonies fare, Adra?
I suppose you have a good reason for this duel?
This street thug called my family a warren of corrupt inbreds. But is there a dung heap in all the world that does not have a little Valera cousin scratching through it?
Laro opens his arms wide and smiles to the milling crowd.
That wolf he calls mother would have us live out our days polishing Bardattos silver.
Is this slight worth one of your lives?
Ak, this is but one chapter in a long anthology of Bardatto arrogance.
Arrogance? Per complaincanet, you should thank me for my patience.
Does this have to be settled by death? Surely there are better alternatives.
Nothing less than the total disgrace of the Valeras would satisfy me.
Then you will die unfulfilled.
Okay, so I can use diplomacy. Anyone can kill. Fighting to first blood would be enough to prove who's the better man. The pair of duelists eye each other warily.
I was the one who suggested fisticuffs, but you were eager to cut me open.
To first blood, then. Shall we resume?
Okay, so they're fighting here. The duelists square off and tentatively circle each other. Stocky Orso moves with heavy strides while Laro takes precise, measured steps. The duelists square off and tentatively circle each other. Stocky Orso moves with... Oops, I already read that. Onlookers gather and press at the edges of the poorly defined arena. Their jeering lowers to expectant mutters. The duelists second bring forth their weapons. Take the opportunity to study each of the opponents. You note the sweat on Laro's upper lip and the furrow of concentration cleaving Orso's brow. Find a better vantage point to observe the fight. I don't have any street watches, streetwise. Watch quietly for now. Once the swords are delivered to their respective bearers, the seconds back away in melancholy silence. The duelists cross their swords and bow and salute. The tranquil moment ends with a burst of motion. Despite their difference in size, the duelists seem evenly matched. Orso doesn't settle on an established form, but he keeps pace with Laro's aggressive strikes. So I can insult them, but no matter who I insult, I'll get minor negative with the Vailian Trading Company. I could yell, or I could just watch. I'm just going to watch. Orso and Laro trade fierce jabs, giving up any pretense of playing to the crowd. A hard downward thrust sends Laro's blade clattering to the ground. Orso hovers over Laro, a grin slowly taking form. He raises his blade and points it at his opponent's heart. This was supposed to be a fight to first blood, but mercy is the farthest thing from the minds of the combatants. Shout at the top of your lungs. Stop! Orso hovers over Laro, a grin slowly taking form. He raises his blade and points it at his opponent's heart. Oh, I keep doing that, I'm sorry. Orso's killing stab goes wildly askew, missing his opponent's heart and instead carving a long slice across Laro's cheek. Laro falls to his knees, clutching his face.
Not so pretty anymore, Postenago.
Laro, go find your sister so she knows you're alive.
This does not end here, Valera dog.
Laro wipes away the line of blood and casts it to the ground.
Just make sure the other Bardattos learn from your example.
Orso nods and signals for his attendants to depart. I think that could have gone worse. Alright, the rest of us leveled up here, so let's go to Seraphin first. For Seraphin, I upped his stealth to 8 and streetwise to 6, and I gave him Snake's Reflexes, which increases the reflex defense. Moving to Shodi. For Shodi, I upped her Arcana to 7 and her Religion to 7, and I gave her Iconic Projection. Creates a slow-moving energetic projection of the priest's faith, returning health to allies and inflicting freeze damage to enemies. Lastly, we have Aloth. For Aloth, I upped his explosives to 7 and his metaphysics to 7, and I gave him Bull's Will, which increases the character's will defense. Alright, moving on. I'll have to go and talk to the Bardattos again. Oh, this is just the exit, so let's do that now. Nara.
Laro has returned to the estate intact. Perfetto.
Nara loosens her grip on the ledger.
Too much Bardatto blood has been spilled in the name of Vengiata.
Which is vengeance. I get the feeling that there's still some unfinished business.
Fuck. Nothing has been solved, only delayed. Here, for your discretion.
She passes you a pouch of coins and adds a short mark to her ledger before snapping it shut.
There can be no peace while civilized kith turn on each other.
She turns her gaze away in thoughtful silence. She seems much more agreeable than the rest of her family. Let's see what Laro has to say.
My face still hurts, but not as badly as a sword through the gut.
I guess that's a way of saying thank you. Yep. Salt in the wound is done. So I think, yeah, this is the back alley, which is where the people with Captain Medora's money were from, I think. I got a district home here. Let's go in here first. Oh, we have a forsaken dog. Looks like a little poodle. This is Shopnawa. Not sure how to pronounce that. Some clothes. Yeah, sure, I'll take them.
Well, if you insist. Hope that helped.
This would be stealing. Don't want to steal.
Of course.
This is not stealing, though. Aquamarine. Named for the sea, these beryl stones boast brilliant blue surfaces. Often found loose along rocky shores, aquamarine has traditionally been associated by the dwarves of Old Valia with both Adra and Abaddon. As a result, shipwrights, captains, and sailors all prize these stones as good luck. And some currency. Someone named Wanika. Passerby have etched a varied selection of raunchy poetry and crude drawings into the brickwork here.
Well met, stranger. If you feel like investing in protection, I'd be willing to trade iron for copper.
The armorer presents you with a friendly smile. I'm going to say your selection is fine, but I'm looking for even better equipment.
I assure you that everything I sell is well crafted. But I will admit I'm not quite the weaponsmith that Marihi is. Nor do I possess Uto's expertise with firearms. Marihi you can find in Periki's Overlook, the district to the north. Uto has a shop in the Brass Citadel, in the eastern part of Neketaka.
Wow, she was honest about that.
Lots to see. Take your time.
Alright, so we got some unique items here. We have Heaven's Cacophony. This crested helmet pays tribute to the goddess Hylia, the Sky Mother. Its plumed coxcomb, made of feathers taken from a willing avian godlike, Makes for a, how do we know is a willing avian godlike? Makes for a dashing, daring display. The steel is etched with glyphs simultaneously representing lightning, the sky, birds, and swift travels. And because of all that, it gives us +2 intellect and religion. It grants us Shout of Hosts, which launches a cone attack that can knock back and stun targets in the area of effect. And it also grants us Avenging Storm. The druid becomes a conduit of power for a storm. Any target they strike with a weapon or who strikes them with a weapon is attacked by a bolt of lightning. This is a pretty powerful helmet you got here. It's 10 grand. Can't get it right now, but... Horns of the Bleak Mother. No one knows for certain the true nature of the being known as the Bleak Mother. Some say she is the progenitor of 100 young terrible creatures that stalk in wild places, best left forgotten, preying on kith and beast. Others maintain her domain is that of thorns and tangled roots, and that her children ensnare and devour those who wander off the path. Real or imagined, the mother is only talked about in whispers by those who trek darkened woods and brave the untamed wilderness. The fellow who wore this horned helm, however, spoke in boast. He claimed to have met the dreadful mother and slain her. These horns, he said, were proof of his deed. A pair of hunters would later discover the hunter in the heart of the Blackwood, its owner nowhere to be seen. So maybe the Bleak Mother got her? This is interesting. I'm going to have to hopefully remember this Bleak Mother here. And then we have Gate Crashers, which are gloves. These heavy gauntlets easily outweigh any similar pair of plated gloves. The scalloped knuckles are lined with lead, and steel wrist guards are many times thicker than they ought to be for any practical purpose. Wearing them is like turning one's hands into bludgeons. Swinging them as a task unto itself, as stopping them in motion, is nigh impossible. Grants Reeling Blow and gives us +1 might. Reeling Blow is a cone attack that sends targets flying backward with a chance to stun. That's interesting. And nothing else here. Here's a wolf.
So she asked him what he calls that trick, and he says, the Consueli.
Confront the alley thugs. Broken bottles litter the cobblestones of this narrow street. The air is thick with the reek of dog scat. Alright. So let's see what Kata has to say.
You're the one causing trouble in Cotter's neighborhood.
The wolf at this man's size raises her hackles and growls. He shushes and pats her behind the ears, all the while keeping his focus trained on you.
I thought Rimaro's pup kept better company.
Kata glances at Seraphin.
Ahoy, friend. So you still be doing that old referring yourself by name thing? Would have thought it'd have cost you enough lays by now to be dropping that affectation.
Huh, so Seraphin seems to know him.
Cotter has not missed the sound of your voice, Seraphin. Your smoke and mirror ghosts do not impress Kaletzia, and they do not scare Cotter.
A line of drool drips down between the wolf's barred teeth.
Sorry, Vailian names all sound the same to me. Which one is the pretty wolf?
Dare's always into the animals.
You'll know soon enough.
Any chance you're the one shaking down Zamar?
Zamar has money problems. Cotter has solutions. The little man doesn't know how to count his coins.
So these are the Principe people.
Cotter heard a newcomer was talking with Zamar.
Which explains why Seraphin knows them. His free hand moves toward the weapon slung in his belt.
Wrong play, Cotter. Let's be keeping this the friendliest of friendly fucking chats. Lest the captain be calling your raise.
His furred hands rest near his own weapons.
Look, Selezia. Your supper comes with blue fur.
Selezia must be the wolf. He nudges the wolf, eliciting a deep growl.
Tell the shipwright to accept Cotter's deal before he suffers another setback.
Why are you shaking down Zamar?
Zamar can keep Principe ships afloat.
Kata narrows his eyes.
Cotter tires of seeing his family sailing derelict wrecks.
Just give me Captain Redora's money and I'll leave you alone.
The coin is gone, amico. Ale for Cotter's friends and food for Cotter's wolf. Macasita gets the rest.
He pats Selezia's flank and smiles toward the rest of the gang. Any thoughts, Seraphin?
You've got to ask, Cap. A Principe deal be the all-round winner?
The Orlan shrugs, running a furred hand over his braided beard.
Zamar gets himself steady work, the pirates know they're looked after, and you and me get to shove off from this mess with a principally favour in our hold. Charting another course risks running us aground of everyone's bad side.
Better that you listen to the hairy piglet.
Kata nods, glancing from Seraphim to you.
Kata will see that his casita knows your name. There's also a coin to spare. Redora's coin. But she's too soused to miss it.
Kata chuckles to himself.
And Kata will get you the Principe discount on Zamar's goods. Deal?
Changed my mind.
You're letting go of a good deal.
So I could just straight up attack him. I don't know, none of these options seem good. Attacking him straight up doesn't seem like something Bjarter would do, but this guy definitely deserves it. Also, Zamar did not want to deal with the Principe. And the Principe are the pirates. I guess I wouldn't really say this usually, but, well, let's see.
The coin is ale for Kota's friends and food for Kota's wolfa. Makasita gets the rest.
You've got to ask Zamar.
Better the Kota will Redora's coin. And Kota will get you the Principe discount on Zamar's goods. Deal?
Counteroffer. I bring Zamar your head.
Seletia, the throat.
Kata releases his wolf and points at you. The rest of his mates take up their arms. Oh well. I'm gonna try and do this without violence, but obviously didn't work.
Yeah. Work's cut out for us now.
Yeah, Bjarter was way up front, so I knew he was gonna die soon.
Another attack, Cap.
No! The gunpowder!
I'll do that.
Feeling the strain.
Withers on the vine. Darkness flows in the light.
Did I not cast it on myself?
Everything.
All the fuzzballs checked out.
Rebirth awaits me.
Bones.
Yeah. I am either bad at combat or I am just trying to bite off more than I can chew when I'm at such a low level. Alright, so come back here later.
So she asked him. He calls that trick, and he says the consueli.
Alright, so we have not gone to see this cobbler. We have not gone to the Vailian Trading Company Headquarters, so that's our next two places. Wrong way. careful. Since the Vailian Trading Company is closer... Oh, it's locked. I think it's locked because it's nighttime.
Indeed.
Oop. You duck down into a canal and find yourself kneeling before an iron grate. The reek of sewage wafting from the other side is powerful enough to bring tears to your eyes. The iron bars are set firmly into the surrounding brick, barring any passage onward. Inspect the grate. The iron appears solid, but exposure to the elements has worn away the surrounding brickwork. The bars extend deeper than these evident fractures, and prying the grate loose would take considerable effort. Let's look for a structural weakness. The iron looks sturdy enough, but you're able to spot some telltale signs of corrosion between the bars and the brick. Now, the defect is apparent. The work of bending bars would prove a less demanding challenge. Use a pry bar to open the grate. Leveraging your weight on the pry bar causes one of the bars to snap free, leaving enough space to crawl through. Climb through. You carefully squeeze through the opening, steeling yourself for what comes next. Partial success. In the darkness of the tunnel, you hear quiet retching. You press on with offered sympathies. As you progress through the tunnel, a change in the air pressure catches your attention. There is an opening above your head. The walls are slick and coated with waste, but you find handholds carved in either side of a narrow passage leading up. You haul yourself out of the pit toward freedom. Out through the toilet of the Vailian Trading Company Headquarters. Gross. I wonder if there's any stinky debuff or something like that. Nope. Okay, so we're not supposed to be in here now. The lighting in here makes for a flattering reflection. Numerous guests appear to have carved their names into the wooden frame of this painting. Alright, so let's head back out. Squeeze through the opening and go down. Pinching your nose shut, you climb down the narrow passage. The muck of a lightless abyss rises to welcome you. So that, I guess, is an alternate entrance into the Vailian Trading Company Headquarters. So I'll have to keep that in mind if we ever need to sneak in there for any reason.
Sleep, carrying all those souls around.
Some nights it's the lantern that lulls me to sleep. It pulses like a heart in my hand.
If you find that comforting, then I'm glad for you.
Sounds like sailor tales to me.
Exit. Oh. Some imps here. Come up out of the sea or something?
May I be a candle in the night.
Let's look at the archer. He can do interrupting shot. Takes careful aim to cause maximum impact with crossbow as interrupts. But I take less shots, so I'm not going to use that right now.
Certainly.
Especially since I need to hit more, so my focus as a cipher goes up. Here is the cobbler.
In the market for decent footwear? You won't find any cat leather around in my shop. Some of us hold ourselves to a higher standard.
The merchant gestures for you to speak freely. Let me see what you have.
Come take a look.
Shorewalker sandals. These thin leather sandals are commonly worn by Juana Roparo. As they tirelessly scour the coast for plants, sea creatures, and valuable detritus washed in by the tide, they provide grip and stability on the shifting sands. I get +10 stride and +1 resolve. And then the boots of stealth. Boots are worn for both comfort and style. Oh, this is just a generic boots. But I get +2 stealth with those. I can also get a hammer and chisel here if I want. You know what? Only 50, so let's just take it. Alright, let's go get a room at the White Mare. Spend the night and see if we can go into the Vailian Trading Company Headquarters in the morning.
Now, what can I do for you? You see anything you like?
Oh, oh. There's another room here. Oh, this is Constantine's room. 800, though. Alright, so because of that, we have... Oh, we got private dance. We took the private dance room. We have +1 cast with level spells and +1 to all skills. You know what?
You say your lamp nets you souls, I? Mind if I be asking how?
Faith can do many a thing, Seraphine. Add a little copper and Adra, and a normal lantern can work miracles.
Aye, don't those be the tools of the animancers, art?
Maybe. But I'm no animancer, that's for sure. I ain't out to play God, only serve mine.
Hopefully we also took a shower there. Okay, so it is open right now. You know, I'm also going to try... activating my AI for everybody. I wonder if fights will be easier since this playthrough... is not about... I don't know. Let's see what happens when they activate the AI. See if, like, things get a little better. Things get a little easier. I don't know if I'll keep it there or not. Oh, I didn't see this person here before. Tawenu. The young Juana wears a disconcerted frown. He meets your approach with the flicker of a welcoming smile, but it dies down quickly.
Please, I must ask a favor.
He shies back from making eye contact, keeping his head lowered.
What say? Do you have business with the Vailian Trading Company?
What seems to be the problem?
My people of the Duape. We signed a contract with the company.
Tawenu looks toward the headquarters with a despondent frown.
We were not understanding the terms at the time. I wish to, what say, renegotiate. But the clerks turned me away.
Tell me more about this contract.
My father, the Ranga, took payment from the company. In exchange, they dig for Adra.
He speaks with more confidence, as if these words were rehearsed several times over. The title of Ranga is the title of a Juana tribal chieftain, not to be confused with Ranga Nui, the Rowatayan title for the emperor.
He did not understand the Vailian way. When he dies, the Outlanders will claim our island for themselves.
Okay, so the Vailians made a deal with him so that they would provide him with work and they would pay him with the work. But I guess they put something in the contract that when they die, that when the Ranga dies, then the Vailians will claim the island.
Father has fallen ill, and the clerk, Luca, stands by the agreement as surely as if it was stamped in his skin.
It's a bold proposal if I ever heard one.
Akira, already this treatment is not so unusual. I made my appeals to Luca, but my words were as stones dropped down the deepest well. While I am barred from the company office, I can do nothing for my people.
Why did they kick you out of their office?
I showed Luca a new contract, yes? Fairer, more agreeable terms.
It seems like the Vailian Trading Company here, and I'm sure they would say, well, they signed the contract, but it seems like they were a little bit shady in their dealings here. They knew that this contract wouldn't be understood by the person signing it.
Luca called me a criminal and summoned his guards.
Tawenu lets his arms hang down by his sides. What do you mean by a new contract?
A man in the gullet offered to assist me. He carried papers, ink, and wax. He helped to write a new contract in the Vailian way and to fix the correct seals. Luca, I say he did not like this. He took my contract and forced me into the streets.
Tawenu gestures to the spot on which he stands. So I'm going to say, I'm pretty sure you were given a forgery.
I do not know this word. I would fix, but Luca will not give me the chance. Negotiating with outsiders has not gone my way.
Mind if I take a look at the new contract?
Luca has it secured in a chest. Tangaloa's jaws such trouble for parchment, I say.
Tangaloa. Many Huana worship Berth as Rikuhu, the twin eel god that represents the cyclic connection between the overworld and the underworld, life and death. Rikuhu is often depicted with the twin constituent eels, Kahopa, representing the overworld and life, and Tangaloa, who represents underworld and death, devouring one another by the tail. In Huana folklore, Kahopa and Tangaloa were born before time existed, and each had an insatiable appetite. They began to devour all things. They began to devour all living things, and with each thing devoured, they became larger. When there were no living things left to eat and the two eels were so enormous to encompass all existence, they began to devour one another. Thus, all beings are perpetually passing through the digestive tracts of the two eels. When one reaches the end, it passes through the mouth of the next eel. The gateway to or from the underworld, the next stage of existence begins. The notion of time is merely one's perception of the digestive process, so a kind of gross way to depict the wheel here. I'll meet with this Luca. Maybe we can arrive at more agreeable terms.
Akira, my thanks. I will remain here by day until justice is done.
The worst of his concerns are quickly overshadowed by a broad smile. What's this quest here say? Coming to terms. I need to talk with Luca inside the Vailian Trading Company offices. There's Luca. The clerk busies himself about the room, favoring you with a brief glance. He rubs under his eyes and exhales through his nose.
If you're here on company business, then I will fit you into my schedule.
He gestures for you to go on. That's because I have a good reputation with the Vailian Trading Company. Examine the clerk. Luca's shirt is spotted with a number of faded purple stains that you recognize as droplets of wine. Someone has tried, unsuccessfully, to wash them out. Noting your interest, Luca tucks his jacket closed.
The servers at the tavern are clumsy. Most clumsy, indeed.
He clears his throat and fans at his neck. I spoke with Tueno outside. You have a claim on his tribe's land?
A lawful claim, I might add. No matter what the native says to the contrary. He showed up with a forged contract, as if I wouldn't know the difference between our paperwork and theirs.
He gestures dismissively out the door. So everybody's taking advantage of Tueno here.
Tueno is lucky. I only seized the forgery. The Gallet is too good for his kind.
There must be some agreeable way to sort out Tueno's problem.
Your villager friend would do well not to stand between the company and our prize. The company is allowed to solve problems as we see fit. And right now, Tueno is a problem. Besides, lying is second nature to the Ranga heir and his ignorant cliente.
Cliente, his people. So he's saying that the Huana are lying here. We're talking about the Duape homeland. This isn't right.
This is the homeland they signed away for money, Ak. I can almost guarantee the company will put it to more dignified use.
So I can use diplomacy to say, keep negotiating like this, and you'll drive the Huana into the arms of the Royal Deadfire Company.
This is... Ak, true enough. But breaking a contract for diplomacy's sake is simply not done.
Luca worries his brow. The company loses nothing by letting go of an island they never had.
I would be remiss to uphold one contract to the detriment of our operation. Go on, then. Some of us have more important duties.
Oh. What did he agree to? Did he... I was able to secure Duape's rights on their lands. Tueno should be pleased. Okay. Oh, good. He was at least willing to hear me. Every leaf of parchment is coated in dense jargon. Which Dense jargon is probably why they were able to get away with that contract in the first place. This is the forged contract here. This contract covers an agreement between the Vailian Trading Company and the chief of the neighboring Duape tribe. It stipulates that while the Vailians have been granted access to some mineral deposits, the Duape will retain all rights to their land until the death of the representative. Attached to the paper is an amendment, however, altering the terms to extend those rights to the Duape indefinitely. The seal upon it doesn't seem quite as crisp as that of the original document.
It's still going on, is it? When
Fine.
Louds decide that enough is enough.
Oh, this place is pretty big. And there's an upstairs. We've been here before. In case we need to go back, I'm going to close this door. This is an Aethasian prayer and some palm slats. Hey, you, that's company property. Leave it alone. Can't even look. A cursory scan of the shelves reveals labeled ledgers that date back decades.
Captain, aye. More than my eyes be open.
I wonder what's in there.
Just a moment, please. Hope that helps.
Uh-oh. Alvari's key.
I'll try my best. There you go. Indeed.
Vailian frock coat. And the Light of Dawn, a Raid Siren Morality Play, Part 2. This is not stealing. I'm going to take this, because I think I have Parts 1 and 2 now. Some kind of barracks here. Clothes, coin, more coin, that's it. Alright, let's head upstairs. This is an exit to Queen's Berth. Oh, something hidden here.
To see in the light.
Lost dog. People leaving it's Toby. People leaving their dogs on rooftops here. We got some Diabo Osa. Have I read this? I think I have. Yeah. Okay, so Shopnawa gives me +2 insight and +1 metaphysics, and Toby gives me +1 perception. Bunch of stuff here. So here's that Raid Siren Morality Play, Part 2. There's some coin, and then here's a folded note. This note appears to have been quickly jammed under this bench, as it's slightly crumpled. It's covered in what seems to be several failed attempts at amorous verse, including a few ill-advised rhymes for helm and sword. So somebody's a poet here. Or I want to be poet, anyway. Apologies, but the director is not in. You'll have to return another time. Okay, so I guess I can't go in there. Oleska Sarasso.
Just a moment.
The dwarven woman at the desk does not yet look up. She taps her chin with the quill in her hand, a look of furious concentration on her face. After a few moments, she scrawls something down in the ledger in front of her.
There we are. So, did Alvari send you? I'm putting together the numbers. She will have to be patient.
She glances up at you, distracted, then looks up again, blinking owlishly.
Well, you're no clerk. Sientere, Watcher. I was preoccupied. Do not take it personally. They put me in this side office for a reason. Oleska Sarasso, advisor. And you are the Watcher that frightened the harbor master. Did you get turned around? I can't imagine what you'd want from me.
How fares the company?
I will not lie. Our fortunes dwindle. I must ask the director for some clarity on these figures. I cannot imagine why they are so low. What can I do for you today, Watcher?
Who's in charge here?
I only handle the numbers, sir. If you are looking for work, you should speak with Governor Alvari. Her office is downstairs, towards the back.
I didn't see anybody down there. With that, Sarasso nods politely and turns back to her work.
Ado, Watcher. Governor Clario had many kind things to say about you. I have... What can I do for you today,
Sorry, I
Watcher?
skipped that. I have you here in the ledger, a net profit. What do you do here?
Put plainly, I am an advisor to the director. I keep the books in order and offer advice on the operations of the fleet. Profits, losses, all here.
Rather than pointing at a ledger, she raises a hand to tap the side of her head.
I have a better head for numbers than for small talk, I'm afraid. It isn't personal. It is nice to be asked, I suppose. I hardly ever get anyone in here unless they need help with their sums.
I don't see why. You probably have the most important job here.
That is true, but hardly anyone says so.
Sarasso smiles, an earnest, amused smile that brightens her eyes and puts color in her cheeks.
I have been lucky to reach this position. I enjoy the work, and it is clear that I am needed. Being useful. It is a good feeling.
Can I ask you some questions?
I can spare a few moments.
What can you tell me about the Valera and Bardatto families?
Ah, them. Gods, they've been at each other's throats from the start. And ask if anyone cares one speck why it started. We should have left these feuds back in the Republics. The Bardattos are some of our most valued investors. The Valera family makes its business in pirate hunting, and they have an open contract to keep the waters around Neketaka clear. But they spend more time plotting against one another. A waste.
Could you tell me... So, before I ask that, it seems like even the Vailians are a little bit annoyed at the Bardatto and Valera feud. Could you tell me a little bit about the Vailian Trading Company?
Well, it is funded and so controlled by the Songretta Mea Compresa. I can tell you that much. A council of 11 investors.
So it's run by investors. The Songretta Mea Compresa is the Congress of the Company, a body of 11 high-stakes investors who collectively operate the Vailian Trading Company.
Dukes, nobles, not all from the Republic's mind, but all very important people.
Who runs the company?
While the Songretta is away, Cantaniro is the company's highest authority on the island, but he mainly concerns himself with diplomatic affairs. For the usual business, you want the director.
That's all I wondered about. Oleska nods, already darting glances toward her papers. Farewell. This is where the director is, and I cannot come in here. I thought she said that the director was downstairs. Maybe this is the office here, and they're just not in. Okay. Let's go tell Twainu that we amended the deal, and that will be it for this session.
You're right.
Akira, you
He
returned.
does do that with his
What say,
hands.
friend?
I just interrupted Adra there. Twainu touches his brow in greeting.
A strange smell follows you, I say. I hope you're not unwell.
Do we still smell like sewage? I was hoping it would take a shower when we got that room at the inn and the dancing. I wonder if it's saying this because one of the ways that we can do this is sneak into the Vailian Trading Company through the toilet, grab the forged document, change it ourselves, and then kind of do that sneakily. So I wonder if because we went through the sewer, the game is kind of assuming that maybe that's what we did. But we didn't do that. Luca listened to reason. The Duape will keep their island.
Akira, I cannot believe. A light after our long sorrow.
His smile broadens, and Twainu slaps your shoulder with encouragement.
My village is modest, but I came prepared. I set aside a few gems for trading. They are yours by right.
No charge, is the honest response.
You are a friend of the Duape. We do not forget.
Twainu smiles, rolling his shoulder with the ease of someone who stands suddenly taller. Allah tenses fingers and smiles.
I must say, our adventures together have been a welcome change of pace.
Aloth approaches you, looking more at ease with you than you've seen him in a while. Thanks, Aloth. I appreciate your company, too.
When we first met in the Deerwood, you were struggling for your sanity. Now you're fighting for your soul.
He pauses.
I can't imagine the weight of that burden. And yet you've borne it, and more remarkably.
It's not as though I have much choice.
But you do.
His expression brightens with sudden emotion.
The gods have sent you after Aethys, and every power of note in Deadfire has their own plans for you.
He tilts his head.
That puts you in a position of incredible influence. I've known you to be a person of rare kindness.
He gives you a warm smile. That's because I have a benevolence factor of 2.
Still, I'm pleased to see that you don't take your responsibilities lightly.
Circumstances put me in a position to help others.
If only more people thought as you do.
He sighs.
I hope you'll remember this in the days to come.
He gives you a thoughtful nod. So Adra and Aloth both seem to appreciate my benevolence.
Or maybe 'tis notching his wee finger.
You gotta stop. My sides hurt. Oh, I miss this.
Surely you've spied how he's always brushing himself. He won't say, but he's afeard of seagull shit.
Alright, Adra is a big fan of Islamir. Okay, so that will do it for this session. I think we went everywhere we could in Queen's Berth, yeah. We still have to take care of these thugs up here, but maybe we'll do some other things before we actually figure that one out. So, but that might be next time, and I'm sure next time too we will go to some of these exits and we'll check out some of the other areas of Neketaka. But for now, that will be it. As always, please let me know if you have any comments, questions, suggestions, clarifications, those kinds of things, and I hope to see you next time for more sentences and paragraphs. Bye, everybody.